pray for all of y'all. I hope you never lose your goals. The mock is valid, don't be afraid to take it slow. It's as it possible to make the money if you broke. And mine's the obstacle, the strangest secret that you know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. This is your watch list coming into September 3rd, but it's game time. The market could get crazy here once again. There's a lot of things I need to talk about here, and there's a lot of things we need to show you because there was a lot of developments over this long weekend. And what we're seeing here, you're going to see where the market is, and I'm pretty much saying it's going to be a toss-up this next week. One, we have a shorter week because we had this Monday off. But then again, how some of this stuff is developed, this is stuff we've talked about week after week, and now it's getting worse again. So it's going to be interesting to see how the market responds. So we're going to cover all that. I don't have keys for tomorrow as much as it's going to be kind of some of the similar stuff we've talked about. I want to go over how things have developed really today that's led into this, because again, it's only the US that was closed. So we're going to cover that, and then I want to talk about the plays for tomorrow. So you guys know what you need to do before we get into it. Make sure you drop your thumbs up on the video. Make sure you are subscribed here. We post this nightly watch list every single night, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open. It is pinned in the comments, and it is the first link in the description. So we better see you there to go over this watch list, because you need to do your most important thing. Post your watch list below. Let us know what companies and what plays you're looking for tomorrow, even global events, news, whatever it may be. We got to source that information, so let us get into it. So right off the bat, you guys can see where the S&P 500's at. It's kind of in an interesting spot here. If it does have one of these ups, another little gap and come down, it could start to reflect December. We're not really out of the woods. However, a lot of people are more calm coming into this simply because the last 3 or 4 weeks we've had pretty much bad news after bad news, and stocks have absorbed it without making too big of a move. Now, the problem is, and this is a good indicator of really what we could see tomorrow, this is the future. So a lot of you probably weren't aware that the futures actually still moved despite the stock market being closed here. So you had the US futures moving, they gapped down, went up, and again, they gapped down because the US did put into play the tariffs. Those came in, and then China literally responded instantly, but even so, during the day, the futures went up, and then out of nowhere, they dropped back. So, and they're still going even for the futures into tomorrow. So we're going to see probably downside unless there is other news or anything develops, but this is giving us a hint here. I think it's showing us, the best part is we didn't have to have the markets open to see this, but this is something that BS a lot of people have been experiencing here, where you're like, what do we do? Bad news, it gaps down, and the market goes up only to just come back and gap down again. So it could set us here in that cuckening. But the big thing to watch, this is something I brought up, and I don't like it. Oh, we got to bring it back. Argentina, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. If you guys remember, I brought this up last week. It got just as bad again. This situation worsened. Argentina stepped in with capital controls, and it led to the currency weakening again, but that's not the main point. The Chinese yuan, my friends, Mr. Yuan is getting weaker and weaker by the day. Again, as we thought that there would be some concessions there, and you remember that one day, about 3 or 4 days ago, China kind of hinted at it, or whether the news, it was the fake piece of news that people said that Trump made up, and then the next day, though, there was kind of reports that it may have been true, and you saw it reflected in the Chinese currency, but we're back at 7.19 on the yuan. This is awful. But again, it doesn't mean the market has to respond instantly. Think about bond rates and all that, so keep an eye out for all those. But I'm going to watch how this develops. Ironically enough, the Japanese yen hasn't moved, and this is why I've said this in the last few videos last week. Use this as the bellwether, and I'm going to be watching to see what happens to this and if this does break below. But nonetheless, I'm going to be looking at the yuan, the yen, and the franc. But it's clear that some of these global events and the fact that the trade war has escalated. We got a hit back here with China. Pretty much now the next question is, what is the next move? But now, don't forget, we're in September. We're literally, I think the Fed meeting is September 18th. So we are about 2 or 3 3 trading weeks. So this week, next week, and then the week after that, we are going to have the Fed meeting, and that's going to be your next news event. So you guys could start preparing for that now, or wait a little bit, and we'll even show some of the plays I'm looking at here today. It set up some good opportunities and even the strategy we're going to take. But all in all, it seems like we are going to just be pointing and waiting for any news here to develop, both trade, and then I think the final kicker is going to be what we see with the rate cuts, the rate hike, and how that develops. So it's structuring there and watching the specific industry. So now let us get into the plays. Right off the bat, this one is one I'm very, very interested in. We brought this up briefly with Argentina, but remember, the day after Argentina happened, Argentina, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. You had a lot of companies drop 50%, and Mercado Libre, they did a really good, honestly. Surprisingly, they didn't drop as much, but now you can kind of see they dropped. They've been doing their thing, but they've been edging down. But putting this into perspective now, this is coming now looking into option pricing, my friends. And hopefully you guys watch those option videos we put out this weekend. I think that could teach you guys a lot, because now guess what? The break evens dropped on a lot of these plays. So let's go to October. The fact is, Meli's been dropping and dropping and dropping, but now like take a look. And again, these are expensive ass contracts. Actually, no, those stayed up in value. See, so really what I'm expecting here, some of them, and again, we might have to extend it because you could tell which contracts here are new and not. There you go. See, someone did a spread. This is what I was looking for. Yeah, so some of these coming out to January, you could kind of see what's going on here. You could overlay them, and they're barely starting to move. But again, it's not as good as I would expect, but I'm going to watch them. We will see. Maybe some of the weeklies could get good, but this is a pretty expensive company. But there you go. Even on the short term, you could see a little bit more better that ever since the drop, you know, some of these contracts were going for, what, $300? Now they're going for 55 cents on the ask. So, and that's because you literally had almost a month of decay. They expire here in 2 weeks, but the stock is coming in lower, and now that situation is came back. So I'm going to watch out for that. If you guys have any other Argentina companies, post them below, but that situation could quickly get out of hand again, and we saw the effect on financial markets. So there's that. And then now I want to go to Yang too. This is the Chinese ETF. This one is a lot harder to play. I think you could do a lot of damage with the spreads just because the volatility is so messed up on it. If you look at the option chain on Yang, you could see what I'm talking about is that a lot of the bids and asks are literally all over. So you could really finesse some of these if you really want to try and put in that effort, but now it's the same thing. This Yang is literally like a UVXY for Chinese stocks. It's an inverse ETF, so you got to be careful with that. This one, you're probably going to want to get quick flips, but some of these that have stayed cheaper, again, they've just been plummeting in value here. You got to be careful which ones you select, especially when the spreads are so wide and most of the plays are almost exactly the same, but I'm going to watch out for that because, again, I want to see right away. I've showed those currencies. We're seeing how that's developed. Again, we know those situations are bad. What we're waiting for tomorrow is to see how the market reacts to them. So I'm going to watch that. I'm going to be watching Apple as well, too, because some of those puts have came down a little bit. Those September ones we got last week, those went up a lot. And remember, I sold one of these. I bought these at 40 cents, and I sold them for like $1 and some change. They already dropped back below break even. Same thing with these Facebook. So I'm going to be looking at both sets of these because now a lot, and you guys could see this even with Merco Libre or whatever, a lot of these September 20th contracts, they're 2-week contracts now. They're no longer monthlies. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? Even those TLTs we're holding, those are starting to become weekly. So keep that in mind here, where if there is a big move, those Septembers might be good, but they're still going to hold a little bit of risk. But I'm going to watch out for Apple, and again, still looking to see if there is any retaliation. And then next, Caterpillar, they had a big move up, but remember, we brought this up last week, how they were hanging there at the lows. I want to see how they respond and what they do, and this is kind of leading to the next thing with the value stocks. Watch McDonald's, see what they did, because finally now, after the last few weeks, you can see what the market's been doing. McDonald's didn't really start reflecting now market moves up until last week and then Friday. So keep your eyes out for those, but if McDonald's starts to move, I'm gonna hopefully look to find a play on that, but I want to see now value stocks as well. We did make that Home Depot. If you guys remember, I did a credit spread, and this is going to be kind of my strategy coming in tomorrow. I know there's bad events. We're seeing this stuff develop negatively, but we want to see how the market responds. I'm going to look to just take advantage of credit spreads until we start to see a bigger drop and enter in a bigger level on the low side, and then we could take advantage of flipping some of those September 20th puts on the downside if we do in fact see the situation would warrant that. So watch Home Depot, watch McDonald's, and overall the value stocks, we're going to come back to them. And then next, we're going to move into the ETFs and even the UVXY. Again, same logic. If you think about a September put and kind of what we've already seen with some of those premiums, you're going to see the same thing reflected to the UVXY. And surprisingly, the VIX UVXY, it's still high. And again, I think it highlights here. So the question is, do we enter in? Do we keep staying in this range or not? And if we break out, this could be a play, and there could be cheaper ones. So watch out for that. And then the next one we talked about, not BATLT, but TLT. I want to see how this is. And now coming into September, we might want to consider rolling the ones in the money. and seeing what happened, or even reevaluating now the further out of the money plays coming into this Fed meeting and seeing what the prices are going to be doing. So I think it's truly at an interesting spot here. And again, the shorter terms can offer those opportunities, and we need to watch. We need to see what the yield curve does, how it responds to all of this, everything happening with Argentina, Chinese currency, and then again, if the yen responds, watch what it does to the dollar, and whatever happens to the dollar is going to have a resulting effect there on the bond rates. So keep your eyes up for that. I like TLT. Then Boeing now, they went up a little bit. We still have those September spreads, and those have actually came down a decent amount. So Boeing's going to be good. But now here's the thing. Remember I said I was expecting it after 5, 6, 7 days of uptrend. It's now holding up. Watch to see what it does. Does this become a lagger or leader? Because again, the last few days, look at where the market's been doing. When the market had started to even get some downward pressure, Boeing held up. So the effect they have on the Dow is very important. I want to see what they do. So watch them. And then lastly, Anthem, Cigna, and UNH. And you're seeing they all really just bounced, and they all kind of look like Caterpillar too, because this could have just been that relief with everything else. But now if the markets do start coming down again, these are going to be the first ones to go, I think, and they're going to do it in a slower fashion. So watch out for that. Now, lastly, moving on to some of the more growth stocks, and some I'm going to mix it up, I guess, too. Don't forget Walmart. I want to keep an eye on that one. And again, just in the sense, watch value stocks just like McDonald's if there is a risk-off event. But you see Walmart's doing good. This might be one I want to sell the credit spreads on, depending on how much credit I could get. Same thing with McDonald's too, as far as credit spreads go, but they have to be decent plays. Like here, you could see, like if you sold the in the money, it's like $60 for $100 max credit here if you did it. So I guess if you did sell the $2 range, just like a Home Depot, you would get like $90 back. So they're kind of decent. I could consider that one, but again, Walmart has held up pretty strong. But keep your eyes out for that though. Again, if there is a risk-off event, you'll see that there. Then watch Shopify, because lately, honestly, as the markets did good, they started to come down. But when the market was doing bad, even volatile, not doing much, they did very, very good. So this could make some of those cheaper. But we've seen this happen a few times, and now it's like a game of messed up, super volatile musical chairs. So watch out for that. But I like Shopify. Call that one out if you see anything. Now Disney too. I mean, don't forget your eyes on this one. You know, you could look at some other of its other peers, how it's moved. I think they look a little bit weaker. They're still holding up from this earnings and everything else. I think it's just going to take something to knock them off or even bring them up. The fact that they're holding there is showing strength and weakness at the same time, if that makes sense, because we don't know which one the market's leaning to with pricing, or if there's a new piece of information or news that could change it. So keep your eye out for there. And then lastly, Target and Beyond. Again, and even along the same lines as Target, I would watch out for any of those post earnings, and if they start to hold up, even watch Ulta as well too. How those move will be interesting, and I want to keep an eye out for there. And then Beyond just being Beyond, because remember, like I said, I'm expecting it to kind of stall out here, and then from whatever it does here on the stall, we could I think we're either this week or next week, we're going to get a big move on it. So keep your eye out for that. And that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. I love you all. I hope you're ready for tomorrow. Stay hydrated. Hopefully you got some good rest, get some even better rest. Make sure you posted your watch list, and if you have extra time, go watch the videos we posted this week. Go put yourself on game, get educated, be positive, be respectful, go show love to a random person, somebody even in your family. Show love to your family, show love to the cult. I love you all. Let's go.